And Jind, how you doing, buddy?
I am fantastic, my friend. I have just finished packing. I'm getting ready to come to England.
We're looking forward to that, aren't we? We're going to hook up for a few games, bit of a chat, bite to eat, Warhammer World it, yeah?
The GT winner. I've got my 2 armies packed away in my case already. I've got my Easterlings and my Army of Thor.
What am I bringing against you again? The Angmar and Gondor, I think.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
How many points are we doing?
I got 600 Easterlings and I got about 700-800 of Army of Thor.
Cool, so 800, 600 games. Cool, nice one. Really looking forward to that. That's next Wednesday, Warhammer World. I don't know if this video will have gone out by then. I think the video will go out after it, but hey-ho, we can do that another time. Right, so we're here looking at 2 of the ETC countries' army lists. We're looking at Poland Hussars, which is the Poland Team 1, and we're looking at Belgium. Now, Jind, I've sent you the lists. You're over there in Canada. You're all cold in your snow igloos and all that, I suppose.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's actually pouring cats and dogs right now, to be honest.
Is it? Well,
Yeah.
we've got pea soup mist here in the UK at the moment, but that's for living around the Peak District. Anyway, so your first impressions when I sent you the lists, you got something like 10 lists all bundled together, and I went, Jind, we'll talk about these. And I think you panicked. You went, oh my god, I'm going to need longer than 5 minutes.
Yeah, and to be honest, it was nothing like I expected. These lists, very few of them met my expectation, my preconceived conception, of what I was expecting to see. What I did see was very surprising. There's some really crazy lists in there. I'm really interested in how these lists are going to play out, what tactics the players have, because at the end of the day, we know what the number one rule is in building a list. It's the list that you're most comfortable with, that you're going to do well with. I do tremendous with my Easterlings, which is not really a top-tier army by any standards, but I do really well with them. I'll give anyone a run for the money, because it's the list I'm the most comfortable with. So I'm really excited to see what the Europeans are going to bring out with their A-game.
Yeah, I mean, you've only just seen 10 of the 90 lists. I've seen all 90 lists, and I've been pleasantly surprised by a few. Remember, you have 5 lists for each country. Now, the 5th list is meant to be in case we have a dropout of one person. So whoever takes that step up to be the 4th and last member has a choice of 2 lists.
Oh, right, okay.
Rather than... For instance, if you were there, if Canada was there, and it's unfortunate you're not, but if Canada was there and you for some reason had to drop out, if you weren't able to step up to the mark, stop mouthing like you're saying something.
No, it was just dancing.
If you weren't able to step up to the mark, the person who took your place might not be familiar with Easterlings, but at least the additional list
should actually know how to play Easterlings. They're a great army.
Yeah, I don't know how to play Easterlings. But then not everyone knows how to play Gondor either.
Not everyone just won a GT, so who am I?
I love you. I love you. Anyway, so that's the reasoning behind. So you took a look at the list, and your first impressions, we just spoke earlier about this, but your first impressions was you were going to give the win to one team.
Yeah, so this is the thing that surprised me the most. When I read through Team Poland, I was shocked. I wasn't really expecting a lot of these lists. Some of these lists I would almost put down as turkey lists. I just really did not. I can't see for the life of me how some of these lists are going to play and operate in the all-round scenarios that we have, because we're going to run the 6 standard scenarios from the GT, correct?
Correct, yes. With subtle changes, but very, very non-dramatic changes, yeah.
The core essence of the game is going to be the flavor of the 6. So I honestly had Poland down as the second-rated team instantly. I didn't expect. I saw 1 or 2 lists where I thought, okay, there's a couple of wins here and there, but for the most part, no. And then I looked over to the next team, and my goodness, Belgium. I was like, hey, solid, absolutely solid, clear winners. But then comes the interesting thing. I've never ever had to pair a team list against another list. So I put on a captain's hat and I pretended to say, right, what are going to be the best matchups for these? And I struggled. I really did. I didn't realize just how much of a challenge it is going to be for the captains each round, trying to pair off their players. There's a couple of who are like, yeah, easy win, but there's only one or two per group, and then the rest of them are going to be 50-50s or the other way. So I'm really excited to see how these are going to come out. I've made my predictions too, but we'll talk about them in a bit, I guess.
Okay. Well, we're gonna let's start with the Polish lists. We've got the White Council / Fellowship, Gandalf, they're the White on Shadowfax. We've sorry, I'm just looking at my list over here as well. We've got the Captain of Rohan on a horse and a rider Rohan with a banner, so that gets the banner in there quite nicely. Ranger of the North, 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 Ranger of the North. Am I repeating myself? Ranger of the North, 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 and finally a Ranger of the North. Yeah, so we've got a load of Rangers of the North in there. I think, yeah.
13.
Sorry?
13, about 13 Rangers of the North.
That sounds right. That's a lot. But that's a lot of might as well, isn't it?
Yeah, this was the first list I read. And, first impressions, big thing. And this list, I think, gave me that first impression of the Polish list not being good when I read this first list. Because what I see here, it's an interesting concept. You got Gandalf, solid. He's on his horsey, right?
Yeah.
You got the cheeky captain with the banner in there. Then you got the Rangers in there. But I saw them as a wannabes. This army I've seen with Saruman on horse, Gandalf on horse, backed up by a shed load of the Rangers. The cavalry, the Elven cavalry. Sorry.
Yeah, the Rivendell Knights.
Rivendell Knights, and they can move through woods. They're not going to get their penalties for going for the woods. They got a better shoot. They got the better courage. They got the better fight. They've got lances. They're just so much better in every way. And then you got these wannabe Rangers of the North. Their bows are not elf bows, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Strength 2, meh, right? Your shoot value is okay. It's nothing to sing and dance about. You don't have
if they don't move. That is.
It's okay. You don't have the fight. You can't go through the trees willy-nilly like the Elven cavalry can. You don't have the lances. You don't have the fight value. Yes, you got the extra little cheeky might here and there, but what are you going to do with the might? It's not like it's not going to be. I think it's going to be okay, but this list I really would like to see. This is the list I would be the most excited to see played, because I can't fathom it, and I'm typically pretty good at fathoming an army and figuring out how it's going to operate and what they can do. I just see too many inherent weaknesses in this list, and I would really love to meet the player that is comfortable enough to come out with this to the ETC, because I think they're going to do some surprising things. They're going to have to. This is a lightweight list in my eyes.
Well, think about this in Lords of Battle. You have 17 heroes there. And every time,
Fight four. It's a fight four hero, right?
Yeah, but you've still got 17 heroes. Every time you kill a hero in Lords of Battle, a hero in the same battle gets a might back.
Yeah, but most typical armies are only going to have between 3 warbands max,
yes,
right?
But what I'm saying is the negativity of this list is that you are feeding your opponent might. Yeah, you're giving them might for all the might you use.
This list is a shooting list, if you look at the bows, but it's not great shooting. It's not great shooting with strength 2. It's not a combat list. I wouldn't want to. These guys are not going to. They don't have the defense. They don't have the hitting power of lances. They don't have the high fight value. You can heroic strike. It's a one-trick pony with the one might. So I can't see where this list excels other than having the gimmick factor. And I think my prediction for this list is whoever plays this knows how to play this, and they have some tricks and surprises we have not seen. And they're going to rely on you looking at this army and thinking, what is this list going to do to me? And they're going to show you exactly what it's going to do to you. And I think that's what I would love to see about this army.
Yeah, high ground, heirlooms of battle, anything that, reconnoiter, all of these. This is a hard-hitting mobile force with the ability to hold back until the last moment and go in and do damage, right? To take the objective at the last point.
I would almost say the same, except I would take out the phrase hard hitting. It hits like a paper bag. There's no hard hitting to this. I don't think it hits hard at all. We'll see.
If this is hitting a troll, I would agree with you. If this is hitting hobbits,
if it's hitting even any defense 6 troop, their base strength 4, they're okay, but they've only got the one attack. Don't forget 2 on the charge.
Yeah.
Right. I think they come. Do they come with spears?
No, they actually don't. They've just got a basic hand weapon, bow, and armor throughout. Oh, hang on, sorry. He has given the latter 2 spears. But listen, we digress. We spent too much time on one list. It's an interesting list.
Exciting list out of the one that was the most surprising, I think.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to the Isengard and Mordor list here, where we've got Saruman on horse, got Witch King and Angmar on horse, filled with Moran and orcs.
Yeah.
And then we have your Taskmaster, and then Kardush the Firecaller. Again, a lot of Moran and orcs, a couple of trackers in there. Interesting.
This is a beautiful, beautiful army. I love this army. It's one of the best armies in the Polish team. It's got solid numbers, great defense, great strength, great synergy. Saruman on a horse, wow, great. Witch King on a horse, we all know what he can do.
Yep.
The cheeky little cheeky Taskmaster in there. And then Kardush, you don't see him too often, but I love Kardush. He can do some great stuff.
He can indeed.
Oh, and I've used him well, and I've seen him used well. He is splendid. This army is great synergy. I love it, love it, love it. This is one of my favorite Polish lists by far.
Excellent. Cracking on to the White Council and Rohan. This, again, taps into the range of the north. It's got 4 ranges in the north. It's got Owen, and it taps into the the West Fold Red Shields. A couple of Outriders. Erkenbrand, of course, really boosting up everyone's courage. And Saruman the White on horse, and Gandalf the Grey. So, again, a very, very mobile force.
And I like this mobile force. I like this a lot more than the first one we discussed with the Polish, right?
Yeah.
But the right things. I think they'll be as effective as the first list. I think in some ways a little bit more. You got the double wizard threat, which is great. I always think though, here's my own take. When you invest these big points into these big characters, you have one bad round with them, and you're looking at quite a big percentage of your army, which is ineffective. It's the one reason I'll never take Azog and Bolg, other than for fluff reasons, because you take Bolg even in 600 points, 700 points, for example. If he has one bad round, 26% of my army is doing nothing. So it's a big gamble. Against some lists, this is going to be great. If you got the opponent with the heavy hitters, these guys are going to shut them down. The horse are going to do what they do best. It does lack the hitting power being Rohan. They don't have the lances, but I think with the hit and run, this is not it's a good list. It's cheeky.
We've got the old banner in there as well. Erkenbrand's warband has a banner in there. A few bows, obviously, the Outriders, but some of the Westfold Red Shields have some bows there as well. I'm actually liking the list. Again, I think it's when we talk about mobile horse lists, we usually talk about the Saruman / Gandalf, and then we talk about the Rivendell Knights. The polls tend to be over the latter 3 lists. 2 of their lists tend to be focusing on the same sort of ilk, but with a different thing in mind. And I think playing against Rivendell Knights, they have some great strengths, but if you engage with them, they can be very, very weak. They need to keep their distance at times.
But they got the get out of jail free card by rolling a 6 against a lot of armies, right? So there's always that little cheeky chance. You roll a 6, and regardless of who's in there, they'll win that fight, right? Which is a strength of them. But I like this army a lot. It's a good army. It's got a little bit lacking in the numbers, but you're going to get that with 2 big heavy hitting mages.
Yes, indeed.
Bit of an issue, but I think that army is going to be a decent one.
Right. And here we have the Lothlorien and Mirkwood. Now, I'm not going to give too much away about other lists, but it's nice to see the elves coming out. Something's just said your Outlook account is out of date. I don't care. That'll come up, I'm sure. So in the Lothlorien one, we have Gladriel, and she's leading some elves here. Now, on your listing, and I've decided not to do this across the board for all the lists. You may see Wood Elf Warrior, Wood Elf Warrior, and Wood Elf Warrior, and only one of those Wood Elf Warrior slots will have a bow. What we're looking at here is we're looking at the other Wood Elves will actually be Wood Elves with other type of hand weapons specific. So they're not written on your list there, nor are they on this. But
I don't mind this list. I mean, you got Gladriel, she's coming out with 8 of her buddies. Leggy's on his horse, he's got 6 of his buddies. You got some God of the Court thrown here and there. You got the Stormcaller with a bunch of warriors. You know, typical warband size is about 8 for these guys, which, you know, they're a little bit pricey. And then you got good old Baragon coming in with 2 Knights of Minas Tirith. So it explains how he's the only guy with an elven bow. He obviously came and borrowed one from these guys, took it back to Gondor.
Yeah, nice bit of fluff there, I suppose.
Nice bit of fluff. Now, I like the inclusion of those guys. It's a little bit out of the box. You wouldn't see that typically if you're thinking Wood Elves, but it's the addition of some cavalry with lances, and it's cheap, right? I wasn't a big fan of the army, you know, and that comes down to my lack of respect for Wood Elves as a whole. I'm not a big elf fan. I think they're overrated.
I would agree, except there is one warband in there that suddenly pulls the whole thing amazingly together. And remember, we have Gladriel, we also have the Stormcaller, right? But then we have Floy. And Floy and Legolas work great, but Floy with normal bows is just as scary.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a good inclusion for some serious shield wall effect approach. We've got the banner on the old Dwarf Warrior as well, so it's got a lot of strength there.
With Floy, Dave?
Sorry?
Dwarf Warriors are with Floy.
We have 6 warriors with armor and shield. We have 1 Dwarf Warrior with banner, and then we have another 4 Dwarf Warriors with dwarf bows.
Breaking news. Those screenshots you sent me never actually had that warband in.
Oh! Breaking news. My apologies. Maybe it's...
Because I did not realise that this... I just had it as Gladriel with the warband, Leggy, the Stormcaller, and Baragon. I never actually saw the inclusion of the dwarves. That makes the list a lot better.
There's also 2 Rangers of the North as well.
Yeah, it's a good army all of a sudden, Dave.
Please don't do a review on the next army as just 2 Rangers of the North and Floy, because that would immediately indicate that you did get the list, but you didn't put them together. My apologies.
That's that's decent. That's decent. That's a decent list now.
Yeah.
I like that list a lot more now.
Yeah, it's got some excellent hitting power with the elf bows there. Sorry?
Got the staying power with the dwarf warband. So if that's the warband I would sacrifice if they're going to hold the ground in the middle, for example, and wait for the friends to come help them out.
I'll just make you aware of one technical problem we're having, is that Skype is not allowing both of us to speak at the same time. So if you're speaking and I speak, it tends to cut you out. So if I ask you, can you repeat that, it's because we've got very passionate about what we're talking about, and we're over-talking each other. And now neither of us are talking.
I was waiting for you to finish.
Of course. So, yeah, it does. And my apologies, you didn't get that full listing. But
well, it surprised me, and I like it now. That's a great little surprise. That's a good list. It's a good army.
I think you'll find that a lot of the lists, and other lists that are yet to come out, have those little synergies that just seem to work beautifully. And as you go down through the list, you think, oh, and then suddenly, Oh, I didn't think about that. So let's crack on. So the next one from the Polish team. So far we've had 3 good armies from Poland and 1 Isengard Mordor. The next army is Mordor and Angmar. And we'll just pop this one up. We have the Undyne. What can I say about the Undyne?
Nothing needs to be said that's not been said around the world, my friend. We all know. He's got that name for a reason.
And he's got the fell beast, so he's got his mobility. But then we have Moran and orcs all over the place, orc trackers on warg, and we have a banner, and we have a spectre. And I'm liking the input of spectres, and I think you'll see a lot more spectres in a lot more lists as well. It's interesting.
Yeah.
The next list then goes down to the Shadow Lord on a fell beast. It's practically, give or take, a copy of the top warband. The same again, Spectre. And then we have a Haradrim Taskmaster with Corsair Reavers, with obviously, it doesn't say it, but they'll have their axes there. And Watcher Zakarna. And then we have the Shade.
Great army.
Yeah.
Great army. Wonderful.
But my concern about a Shade is a Shade brings the army together. Now, that can be very, very good if you have hard-hitting models that don't need to range afar. But
you got Shadow Lord, so you're going to have a cluster effect anyway to take advantage.
Yes.
It's straight up the center. Now, it's going to be good for those scenarios, but its weakness is going to be where they're coming in from random edge deployments. And this army is going to be brutal when you can allow them to deploy together and play and feed off each other, but it lacks some of the self-reliance. The warbands are not self-reliant. Some of them are, but not all of them.
Do you know, I've actually found that random deployment, people tend to focus on the big unit or the big item. Kill the Shade. I'll put 2 units in to kill the Shade. Problem is, it may take 2 turns to kill the Shade, which means you're now 2 turns away from your objectives. And I have seen games being won by the person who wasn't chasing down the let's kill all the army and was actually getting the objective. But yeah, it is a nice army. It's going to be very interesting how it turns out and what we put it up against. So that is all of the Polish Team 1. We're going to scoot back up quickly now to the Belgium list. And you like the Belgium list. The Belgium list was the list that you initially turned around and said, right, that's it. It's going to win.
All bar one. One list, I can't fathom it, and I'm hoping you're going to shed some light because you play these guys, you use them in the GT, a version of them. So
all
I'm
right.
going to...
Shall we
that
go
one.
Shall we go on that one first? And that would be...
the Felbeast list. It's the Witch King, the Tainted, the Dark Meshul, and the Dwimlik on Felbeast. Now, one half I understand, Wraiths, named Wraiths on Felbeast. These are not the Wraiths I was expecting, and I'm trying to put my head around the special rules and what kind of tricks and what have you. I can't quite see it compared to, say, for example, Knight of Umbar, some of the other guys. I personally think some of these name choices are going to be interesting. So can you shed some light as a Felbeast player yourself as to why you think these 4 were brought out?
Well, I can only say that is not a Felbeast list that I would have brought out myself, but then I need to look at what they've brought out already in another list. They have brought out the Knight of Umbar. They have brought out the Undyne. So immediately, because you can't duplicate named heroes in a team, they could not have another team with the Undyne or the Knight of Umbar. So therefore they have knocked out 2 of the named rates that they could use.
Which is fine, and I get that. It's part of the whole dynamics behind the team aspect of building all your lists together. But I almost would have said, you know what, fellas? The concept is great. let's build a beach house. But if there's no beach, let's build a high rise instead. You know, we want to have the fell beast flying circus, but it's not the circus. It's the accountants are coming out,
okay.
right?
No, that's a good point. That's a very, very good point. But now I'm going to throw something else towards you. The meta in the UK is different to the meta in Canada, the meta in America, and the meta in Belgium, Portugal, and Spain. They're all different metas. So if the meta that you're playing against allows this list to be dominant within that meta, because the Tainted, the Dark Marshal, and the Dwimmerlake tend to beat what's top table in their leagues, this is going to be seen as a very, very good list. This could well be a top list there.
Regardless of meta, I don't care where you are in the world, if you're a Wraith whose special rule is you can act as a banner to non-heroes, i.e. the Dark Marshal, in an all-hero list of Wraiths, you've wasted your one and only special rule. So I would have just gone with the unnamed Wraith and bumped up the points, because you're not getting anything out of the special rule, right? There's a lot of these Wraiths. These Wraiths are interesting. I agree with what you say, but that was the one list. That was the turkey list for me for this army.
I would have put in Kamul potentially in there somewhere.
Yeah.
My only concern is that when it comes to, well, firstly, there is no way in that small list the Tainted is touching any of its fellow models.
Yeah.
Okay. So his special ability is going to be, you know, he's going to have a great time all around.
Okay? It's cute.
Yeah.
It can happen here and there.
He's also going to reduce anybody else from being able to call benefit from heroics.
Yeah.
Okay. Good and evil alike, or good and enemy alike, should I say? And the Dark Marshal is the only Wraith that's got a high, that fight 6,
which is nice. The fight 6 is good.
Yeah. Now, taken into account there, because he's got fight 6, that would encourage most enemy troops to try and do heroic strikes.
Mm-hmm.
But the Dwimmerlake will cut that down. The Dwimmerlake will say, you're not doing anything, or if you are, you're going to be risk losing a lot of your might. Okay?
I think where the Marshal and the Dwimmerlake will do that just great, I still think I would have swapped out the Tainted and I would have definitely brought in Kamul, because I think the synergy for the combat would have been better, because you've got the Dark Marshal going in as a bit of a combat beast, but you always want to back him up with someone else in case he flubs.
Yeah.
And I think Kamul would have done that. Kamul could have generated some might back over the time and been a bit more, my apologies, and been a bit more resilient. I think that for me is the flub right there.
Yeah, I would have agreed with you. I don't know if I'd have taken the Tainted out. It's a hard one. This is not a list I would have taken. If this was a 1,000-point list, the Dwimmerlake is definitely in there, without a doubt. At an 800-point list, when there are other rates to pick from, I mean, you do have 2 combat models there. You've got 3. The Tainted has to go in, because the Tainted is hoping to kill as many just by his presence alone. The Witch King has got his full complement of 20 will, so he's going in and he's definitely hitting there with he's using his will in combat, but he's definitely getting in there as a combat model. And the Dark Marshal is a combat model itself. What you're not seeing here is you're not seeing any real synergy that helps boost another model.
Exactly.
Maybe this is the list that they're just bringing, or maybe in the hands of an awesome player. We are looking at Poland Team 1 here.
And don't forget, pre-Ed Ball, the Flying Circus list wasn't really considered powerful or great. It's in the hands of Ed Ball that it becomes what it is, and he basically created that.
Yep.
He created, without the Ed Balls of the world, well, there's only the one of them, you never would see the Flying Circus being emulated. So I'm pretty sure the people have their own ways of interpreting it and playing with it.
Indeed. And for a long time here in the UK, that has been the meta. And I've noticed how people have been gearing their lists to beat that list. Which is why I made some subtle changes to mine to try and say, actually, let's take a list that could beat it, but only if it's scenario dependent. And that's just the luck of a tournament draw. Yeah, let's move on from there. You're dead right. That is an interesting list. Let's go to the good old Bard and Lake Town. Not the first Bard Lake Town will be seen list. Today is the first one and then the only one. But it's not the first for all the other lists.
Yeah, beautiful army.
And we're getting Sigrid and Tilda coming out there. I'm looking forward to how they're going to portray their models. That's going to be very, very interesting. Again, it's an awesome list. It goes down through everything. You've got Alfred in there. You've got Hilda Bianca. You've got Percy. You've got Bane, son of Bard. You've got Gandalf the Grey. And you have Bard himself with his two daughters. You're hitting the bows. You're hitting the axes, the spears. It's all good. It's all good. I like the list. I've yet to see how it plays out because I've never played the Bard with the new There and Back Again rules. But it's a nice list. Let me point out, it is one of the few components from the new book that's being used through the ETC. I was a bit surprised not to see more.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are your thoughts on this list?
Beautiful. Pre There and Back Again, Lake Town was a great army. Yep. Post There and Back Again, it's an amazing army, right?
Yeah.
But it's a tricksy army. This army is a vicious, vicious lady. She looks great. She looks absolutely great, but she's a dangerous date because if you don't know how to synergize, if you don't know how to marshal your models, if you don't know how to protect them and work them, you are just going to fall flat. So anyone picking up this army, because it is attractive in every single way when you read through the books, you have to play this better than I think most other armies because everything else is inherently it's weak. Your strength, your defense. This army can crumble very, very fast. So it's going to take a great player to really bring the most out of this army.
Yeah, it is going to be very scenario driven. But so far, if you look at the list that we've just discussed, there haven't been many we've just discussed an all-hero list, but there haven't been many pure all-hero lists that this army needs to fear when it hits Lords of Battle. The odds are that this army could well be pitted up against another Horde army, which is what its strength is. It could do a serious amount of damage.
It's a great army. I like it a lot.
Yes, indeed. Right, so let's crack on to the next one. Now, the reason we had that all-hero Fell Beast list is because we have another named Wraith list, starting with the Undying on horse, on his own. Interesting to see him on a horse.
Yeah.
Then we have an Orc Taskmaster with a load of Morannon Orcs, different things, spears, shields, etc. Then we have the Knight of Umbar on a Fell Beast with 12 Castilians of Umbar. I'm always on the fence how I find things like Black Numenorians, Castilians, the Morgul Knights. I'm always on the fence about them at times. And then we go all the way up to their cousins' abode up in Angmar, and we pull out the Shade with a good little boosting there of some Orc warriors with a banner.
I'm going to say right away, 12 Castilians. Game just done. Wicked. Amazing. I don't know how good they are. I don't care.
You just like the look of them.
I love it. And the fact is, he's going to outdrop anyone all day long because each Castilian is a standalone hero.
No, he's not.
Castilians of Dol Guldur, they're
no, these
heroes.
are Castilians of Umbar.
Oh,
these are the Black Numenorians with an Umbar upgrade, giving them fight 5. They're still only strength 3. And I've met and I've discussed this at length with a lot of people. They go, but they've got terror. And I said, terror only works when your opponent's charging you.
Excited for a second. I thought they were the Mordor standalone heroes for a second.
No, they're not. They're led by the Knight of Umbar, which gives them the Castellan of Umbar there. So they're actually Black Númenóreans.
Okay, well, I still like it. It's fine.
It could, in the right hands, it could do very well. I'm always just a bit... My experience of Black Númenóreans, they've never hit the high mark I expect from them.
Right.
I think that's always been my problem. They've never hit that high mark. And you're paying points.
They're a better Gondor foot troop. Same defense. They got better fight. Courage is great. They got the terror. For what you pay for, they're bang on. But it's the way that a Minas Tirith warrior is never exciting. That's the same reason why Númenóreans can never be exciting, because they are what they are. But I think in combination with the Morannons, with the Strength 4, you got amazing support from the warriors. You got the Shade. This is another cluster army. This army is going to be heaped together. It's going to go straight up the middle. Yeah,
agreed. And who are we on to now? Oh, we're on to Moria. Groblog with... why have I got with Mirkwood? Mirkwood spiders, that's why. Good old Mirkwood spiders. So we've got Groblog with the mithril crown there, and he's pulling behind him 12 Moria goblins with shield and spears. And then we've got the shaman. It's good to see there's a lot of shamans coming out. Not in these necessary lists. I think we've seen one set of shaman already in the Polish list, but there's quite a few. And I back that up by saying we've got 2 shamans in this list: the Maria Goblin and the Gundabad Black Shield Shaman. And then we have Druzag, Prowler, Giant Spiders, Bat Swarm. In fact, we've got 3 Prowlers in there. We have Shelob. Oh, I like when she sneaks into a list. We have the Shadow Lord on a horse. Yeah, I mean, I personally think a raid on a fell beast is always better, but I can see why the Shadow Lord's on a horse here, because his main thing is just to keep this army protected from those Mirkwood shooting. And then we have 2 Mirkwood spiders, yeah, and then we have another 2 Mirkwood spiders. So very, very mobile aspect to the list. Mm-hmm. Very interesting list, and it'll be really, really interesting how he uses Druzag.
Well, he's going to use him amazingly, of course.
Let's see if he can get that off.
He will. This is a beautiful army. It's my favorite army, period, just because I love Moria. They're the underdogs. You don't really see too much. You don't think too much about them, but I've seen Moria used devastatingly. They're a devastating army, and I love the fact that he didn't put him on a fell beast, because it shows the guy's very, very smart, because the fell beast is such an automatic inclusion mentally when you get the named Wraith.
Yeah.
But you escalate it, because the minute you stick him on the big bat, he is only going to get the best played in a certain way. It forces you to play your army in a certain way, whereas now you don't have to worry about using him. He just has to do one thing only: prevent your army from being shot at. Right?
Indeed, yes.
He's there to survive. He's there to not give up the general points. You can keep him babysit. You don't feel bad for wasting him, because he's going to be doing his support spells.
Yeah.
You don't get him into combat. He's one less thing to worry about in a heated tournament game. You let your army do what it wants to do. You got spiders galore. This army has everything. It's a great army. I love it. It's one of my favorite ones out of this the whole group.
Red on blue game, those shamans are going to cause a lot of problems, because I mean I'm seeing flashing lights of 6-7 major threats there.
Yeah, absolutely.
A blue on blue, I'm now there thinking, okay, I've got a sap will on my side, and I really want to take out who? Do I want to take out the shamans? Do I want to stop Shelob? Do I want to take out Druzag? Take his will away? These are all important things. Do I have enough sap wills per turn to do that? And no, I don't think anyone will. So yeah, I really like that army as well.
Yeah,
Sorry.
It's a multiple threat army. Anytime you can present multiple threats in one turn, you're doing the one thing which every good player does. You're forcing your opponent every turn to make hard decisions before the turn even begins.
Yes.
It makes them sweat. It makes them worry. You're in their mind. You're winning half the game already by doing the mind games. I love this army.
Yeah.
I just hope that the player playing it, you better be bloody good, mate.
I think I just cut you down. You'll have to repeat all you said there. Go on. I think I cut you down at the word bloody. Go on, off you go again.
I just said, you better be bloody good with this army, mate. There's a lot riding on you. I'm counting on you. Don't let me down or you will get hurt.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Minus Tirith. The next list. The final list. We have Faramir on horse.
Let's just summarize this to 2 letters.
Yeah.
G-E. GT. GT winner. We've seen videos on this. We know what to do. Boom. Off you go. What a great army.
Except he's put in Saruman the Wise.
Not everyone's Dave Nolan.
One of the things I've noticed in all the lists so far is that there's big hitters in the lists.
Mm-hmm.
And very few lists have actually gone for the non-big hits. They've gone so far. I mean, in these 2 lists, there's Saruman the Wise, there's Gandalf, there's the Shadow Lord, there's the big names in there. This one, I do like what he's done. He's taken on Fountain Court, Knights of Minas Tirith, which is great. Damrod with Warriors, great. A couple of Citadel Guard in there. I wonder who he is going to bodyguard. And my concern is he'll bodyguard Faramir. And in doing so, we'll see. Who would you bodyguard?
The guy that's not going to die, your general, right? Saruman's not going to get into the fight. He's going to be your support guy.
You can't bodyguard.
Oh, but
I don't think you can bodyguard Saruman. You can only bodyguard another minus
Oh, okay, sorry. Baragond.
And who's Baragond going to bodyguard? Himself, then.
Bodyguard himself. He's not a big deal because the thing is, he's going to sit at the back. He's sniping people away with his cheeky bow. His whole job is to stay alive and not die. Don't give up the points.
Yeah.
Don't point Baragond. And then allow everybody else to be dispensable because Faramir, you need him. You need him to die. He's fated to die, right? Send him in.
But he is your hero. He's your general in this list.
He is the general?
Yes. He's the general in this list.
I disagree. Never should have been a general. Never. Never. You need him to fight. The minute you got to get him to fight, there's a chance he's going to get killed. He's juicy. He's a juicy character. I would kill him all the time, all day long.
Right. Oh, have we lost Jind?
No, I'm back. It was just showing my battery thing was bleeping at me.
Oh, that's all right. So, there are 10 lists, sir. Captain style. Tell me what your thoughts are regarding matchups. We don't have to be precise, but what would you not like to see being matched up, and what would you like to see?
I had the Polish Gandalf Rohan with the Rangers going against Lake Town.
Right.
And the reason is because Lake Town is going to destroy them, and it's an easy win. Easy win for the Lake Town. And then have Gladriel, the Wood Elves, taking on the Gondorians.
Right, yeah, some good shooting there. But defense 6s across the board generally. Well, not all of them, but defense 6 across the board.
Shooting, right, and the strength 3 in combat 2. So that was the matchup there. And then we had list 3 versus list 2. So we have From the Poles, we got Saruman, the Witch King, and the mob of everybody, right?
Yeah.
With all the big models taking on the Undying, Taskmaster, Knight of Umbar, the Shade. So it's Mordor Horde on Mordor Horde essentially.
Right. Cool.
Right.
Cool.
That was the matchup for them. I had list 4 versus 5, which is the Undying, Shadow Lord, the Spectre taking on Moria because of the multiple threats of Moria. I think they can smash through if played well, but that was a dicey. That was dicey.
And then the Spectres, though, will really go to ground against the Moria because you got such low courage.
You do, but we'll see. That was a tough call to make because some of the better choices for them I had as easy wins and other ones. I had to balance out going for the most victories for my team, right?
Yes.
And then Gandalf, Saruman with the Rohirrim in the Polish list there, taking on list number 3 for the Belgians, which was the Fellbeast list.
Ah, yes. Interesting.
But that's the one army where the Fellbeast, I don't agree with the Fellbeast composition. We've talked about that, but I felt that was the one where they could probably do the most damage because in any other army, those Fellbeasts are a liability against a lot of the Polish list.
Yes, very much so.
So I figured this would be the one where they could, try and do something useful other than lose.
Well, listen, Jind, thank you so much for that. Thanks for giving us your time on that, on your list. Any final thoughts, any final words? I know you're gutted you're not going.
My bet in my pool, I got 3 easy victories for the Belgians.
Right.
I got 1 for the Polish, and then there's a 50-50. The Polish win is the Undying Shadow Lord Taskmaster with a bunch of people taking on Moria. So I had the Polish winning that one. Moria's got to play really well to get out of there. And then the 50-50 is the Wood Elves versus the Gondorians. But that was before I realized that the Dwarves were a part of it. So the 50-50 is now switched over to Poland.
Right.
So I got 3-2 to the Belgians.
Okay, interesting. Well, we'll see what the Belgian captain and the Polish captain think of that when they suddenly go, what a load of rubbish!
And you know what? I'm going to see you in literally a week's time at Warhammer World. How exciting is that?
Yeah, we're gonna do that. So just bear with me now while I finish this all up. And cheers, Jind. And I'm glad that it stopped raining now in Canada because I can see you managed to get stuff done in your room and your lovely picture on the wall behind you. Quite envious.
Yeah. Only for this video. That was great.
Hey, smashing. Okay, right. Well,